Hello everyone. Hi everybody. Hello love lovers. So this is a synastry analysis of the countries India and Pakistan, because there has been an ongoing conflict between these two countries. And when it comes to conflicts and legal things, that's another synastry that we're interested in, right? My name is Mita. I am an astrology practitioner. I specialize in synastry, right? That's my domain. And regarding this synastry, I am using a popular, timeline in terms of, birth of these countries, right? However, when it comes to Pakistan, I have rectified the time due to the history of how the country started its independence. It verged off from the initial date that was set due to scheduling plans and all of these things. So I had to take that into account in order to show the close birth time of this country, Pakistan. However, I know that there are people who are sticking to the original time that was set in the policies by the UK government. However, to be precise and to be closely accurate, I had to do a bit of rectification. Again, rectification is not my speciality, so I do it to for my research purposes. And of course, everything that I say here again is alleged from the get-go, and it is from an astrological point of view, right? So from the get-go, the first things that I could see from this relationship between these two countries is that India has had an upper hand over Pakistan for a very long time, whereby it could have also influenced Pakistan through legislation. This is highly highlighted here, that there is a legislation relationship whereby India has had to compile some legislation in order to provide either counsel or resources to Pakistan, right? So that is what I'm seeing here, and I'm also seeing that Pakistan retains most of its profits and monies and gains from the work of India, or from working in India, or from the employees that are coming from India. But I do see a lot of skill set that is coming from India and helping Pakistan make money, make a living for itself. I do see that. So it could be the literal people crossing the border to go work in India from Pakistan, or it could be government bodies sent by India into Pakistan to help and reshape and reform Pakistan. So this has been going on as part of this synastry, as part of this relationship between these two countries. Now, like in any relationship, people fight, and for now, this is what is happening here. Is it going to be a divorce? Is it going to be just a breakup for a short period of time and they're going to get back together? That is what we want to see. We want to see what is going to happen, who's planning what in this marriage, and now obviously in this separation of these countries, things are going horribly bad. There are humans that are being are killed in this thing in this war. People are getting deceased, so it is not a matter of light talk. It is a serious talk that involves human life, and when it comes to a human life, we do know that there is no other priority than preserving the human life. So now let's see in depth. What is shown here to be the outcome out of all of this debacle is that Pakistan will lose. And again, I am talking from an astrological point of view. These are not facts. They are messages from planets. So what I see here should not be taken as a form of a political strategy, political influence, or anything related to that. I am not related to any of these countries, and therefore anything I say is for research purposes only and for astrological analysis only, right? So what I do see here is that Pakistan will lose some sort of fortune, things that they value, and it will affect their pride as a country. This is due to the incoming Ketu transit, which will affect their fortune as a country, and I am seeing a huge turnaround of events whereby they will be remembering this moment for such a long time. Now, with this transit of Ketu that will be affecting the valuables and the wealth of this country, right? It is not something to take lightly, and it is not something to make fun of, because people will be affected. And I do see a lot of blockage as well, or access to foreign people or foreign developments and stuff like that, or even foreign influences. I do see that loss, when it comes to them being able to access, even maybe India or even other countries or other resources in foreign countries. So, when it comes to a country that is also relating to foreign investment as well, and it is going to affect the country's community and how it's working and its procedures and the general well-being of the country, right? If obviously this whole thing keeps going on. I also do see that this will be taking place around the 12th, 13, 14, 15 of June. So that week of the 12th until the 15th of June is when there could be an announcement of maybe some loss to a foreign investment, loss to a foreign ally, loss to foreign channel, whether it's India or any other country. But this will be happening due to a lot of arrogance, whereby they could maybe be seeing themselves as making the right decisions, or going for the right role, having pride in what they do. And it is this pride that then would also attract a lot of criticism, and because it would be like they want to prove themselves, they want to prove they can do this, they can do that, right? And due to that, then the Ketu will definitely humble by extracting some of these fortunes or access to these allies or investments or stuff like that, right? So that is happening, and I do see that obviously, as I said, it's going to be a change in the a change in how they see things or in how they view things, right? But the change is not going to be evident immediately after that week. The change is going to be felt, or it's going to be experienced by the country or its people or its employees, and maybe even like litigation wise or law or something like that, by the 5th to the 7th of July. Then this is when there could be an announcement that a certain part has been hit. Maybe people I don't know, like people are starting to find jobs now, or maybe they can't access jobs to foreign countries or India or whatever, or they're feeling blocked, so there is a foreign influence that would be the part of this, highlight. I also do see that when it comes to India, around July, 25, 26, 27, 28, so around end of July, right, I do see them feeling like they've gained something, feeling like they've won, having a bit of pride, right? But with a lot of need to assert some authority, placing a stance to say, I am, this person, respect me, or something like this, right? But for both countries, it is for both countries, there shouldn't be too much pride or too much feeling of I have gained right, or I've won right now, because what is showing here with this transit is that it could make these countries feel like they've won right now, but immediately soon after they fall again, from the success that they could have gotten. So I see a lot of short-term wins, but which are followed by a disappointment, which are followed by a fall from grace or stuff like that, right? So July, end of July, these are the dates for paying attention, for such things. And I also do see that when it comes to India, they could also gain some of the investments that Pakistan would lose around June, that week of 12, 13, 14, 15 June. So India could win a bit of stake there from that investment or whatever fortune that Pakistan is ought to lose at this time. So it could also be in terms of land. It could also be in terms of some government investment. It could also be some properties. Maybe Pakistan people had properties in India, and then the government takes those properties to be owned by the government or something like that, right? But like I said, all these wins could be easily followed by losses thereafter, quickly thereafter, if there's pride, if there's arrogance involved, because Ketu is here to humble the king in the sign of Leo. So whatever whenever there is pride or too much arrogance that is shown, then there could be quickly the fall or the disappointment that comes after that. So that is evident. I also do see that around July 5, 6, 7, July 5, 6, 7, I do see for Pakistan feeling a bit of loneliness, feeling a bit of isolation, maybe from other countries, from other neighboring countries. I don't know how these things of governments work. But I do see a lot of like isolation, or feeling like, oh, they the loner now, and a bit of like a moral collapse, whereby, you know, some of the things that are normal, they don't become normal anymore, right? I also do see some resentment, you know, whereby maybe they could be reflecting on the decisions that they've made, and looking at the losses that are, you know, set up for the June period, and now they're reflecting and they're resenting and they're feeling a bit of disgraced, you know, from what would happen, right? I also do see that there could be also some sort of seeking for escapism, whereby I don't know what they do in Pakistan to, you know, to escape, because I know in countries like South Africa there's a lot of partying, you know, when things are not going right. In other countries they celebrate, they do things, you know, just to avoid facing sad moments, right? So I do see that. And I also do see that around our 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 May, so around mid-May, right? So around the 19th until the 24, 25 or 29, so maybe for the 10-day period, so from 19 until the 29 or the 30th, so let's just say that, of May, I do see some tragedy coming up. I do see some grieving, sorrow, you know, some misfortune, you know, coming up. I do see that. And I do see that, you know, this sorrow could affect some of you know, the skill set or information from India's side. So information maybe are something that is known or needs to be known, or even the laws of the country, whereby it's, you know, there's this tragedy happening around that. And I do see aggressive communication, which could lead to this sorrow, whereby people are feeling a bit of sorrow or a bit of loss, maybe of, you know, someone important or something important, you know. And obviously suddenly around 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, so the second week of this 10-day, I do see some sudden events, like whereby things are rolling so suddenly, right? Also with the theme of, you know, just feeling a bit sorrowful, right? Shocking, right? And, you know, some sort of like searching, looking, wanting to find information or something, right? So I do see that. I also do see that it could also be relating obviously to this Pakistan story, or Pakistan authoritative figures, or how they should deal with Pakistan publicly, right? I also do see that around June, so June 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so around June, mid-June, until, so for like 5 days, 7 days, a week, that week of the 15th of June, I see here some resistance now, whereby maybe there are government bodies or external people that want peaceful talks, or they want diplomacy to be involved. And maybe then some people in India, they don't want that. They are using their own insight. But then I also see a lot of stubbornness here. So it's like maybe they reject some counsel, or they reject some third parties that want to be involved, and that introduce other ways. I do see resisting, some resistance. So resistant to what, right? Resistance to what? So that's the question. Is it resistance to providing resources to Pakistan? Maybe some people say, open up the water again to Pakistan, and they resist, or open up travels to Pakistan people, and they resist. I do see some resistance, and obviously it's going to affect the resources of Pakistan, that's for sure. I also do see some provocation here. So there's another conflict. So there's another conflict around June. So 15, 20, I already talked about Pakistan losing stuff around these dates, but around the 5th, just a week after Pakistan loses something, then there's another thing, provocation, conflict that comes up here. I do see just like a sharp tongue, like a sharp move, like some sort of information that must be dealt with quickly and with aggression, and with precision, right? Like, let's do this, right? And then I would say towards July, I would say June to the beginning of July. So June to the beginning of July, I do see that there could be some curious people here who want to get involved. I do see people wanting to get involved, some third parties wanting to get involved, or and it's concerning the resources. So now towards the end of June, like, there's a lot of talk about resources, there's a lot of talk about the provision or the sharing of resources, whereby the resources also include humans, like people want to protect, Pakistan wants to protect its children and families, so there's a lot of protection that needs to be given to families and to kids. So this is going to be an urgent thing towards the end of June, and regarding resources as well, whereby there must be a plan that needs to come up. So there's a lot of now panic, taking here, living here, taking here, living here, trying to manage and bring up again a good status for Pakistan here, right? So let's just take a 1 minute break. So I also do see that around around 19-30 June, so this is going to be a very hot period in June. So I do see around the 19th until the 30th of June. Now that there could be some sort of dominance, you know, that is needed here. Like both countries, they feel like they should assert their dominance. India being, the hub of resources, and Pakistan wanting to provide these resources to its people and families and children, right? I also do see some legislation law that, or change. If it's not law, it's going to be a change of policy or something like that, or a contract that is going to be introduced. So it's going to be something that they have to quickly, come up with to control the ways that, things are done. And this law is going to be held or, upheld by India. I do see that it will also be, maybe to control further violence, or or because of a sudden violence that comes up abruptly, and they have to set up these rules or these policies, laws, quickly, suddenly come up with something. We need to sort this out now. We need to control this now. And whichever policy or legislation or rule or control or whatever or change they come up with at this time, it is going to last until so from now on, I would say it would take about the next 15 years, right? So even more, like about 20 more years. So whatever change or policy or law that they're introducing now, and it could also be to control the border. I see this word border coming up here in the synastry. So it could also be something placed to control the border, but it will be around and be controlled for the next 20 years, right? It's going to be a sudden decision, sudden change, or sudden whatever, but its impact is going to linger for about 20 years. So I do see that. I also do see that around the 18th of May, next week, so 18, 19, 20, 21, so around these dates of May, right, I do see some power play here. So what is evident here is that there are people or organizations or other networks, right, that have a traditional control over these countries, and they are going to use a power card here. There's going to be a power card that is going to be used to influence or to control this situation, right? And these traditional people, when we talk about traditional governments, we talk about the West most of the time, right? Like foreign influences, foreign legislators, or people like this, right? So I do see that card being played around the 18 May. So we could hear again, we heard today about Trump demanding ceasefire. So we could hear again around, next week, of the same thing, whereby a foreign influence, traditional influence, like an upper power, giving some sort of ultimatum, control, over the situation. So that is clear. I also do see that in the week after, so around the 22nd until 25th of May, I see some darkness, like some sort of rage and dark nature, a scandal, definitely a scandal. I do see a scandal coming for Pakistan at this time, and it's going to affect the resources and what they have, or this power card that is going to play, it's going to threaten what they have, the resources that they have. So it's more maybe gonna be like, if you don't do this, then we cut off here. If you don't do this, then we close off here, right? So I do see that, and I also see some miscommunication as well. So there's a lot of instability at this time, whereby now you find that Pakistan has to play a two-faced type of thing. Maybe they agree to do something in front, and then in the back they go and do something different. So I do see that, like that two-faced situation, communication, which will have a scandal that comes with it, right? And I also do see some rage or violent attack or violent response from the India side, and it would also be mostly through communication, but it could also be through the normal army thing, all right? Like we've seen in the couple of days that have passed. I do see around around the 28th, I would say, like around the 28th, around the 20, actually around the 1st, so just after, so around the 1st to the 4th of June. I also do see that there could be some rash decisions that they have to be taken again in response of the previous week. I do see that again somebody's gonna feel like, one of the two is gonna feel like, oh, I've won, and then thereafter another event comes through that shows that actually you did not win. So I do see that. What else do I see here? I also do see that around August now, around the 4th, like the first week of August, I do see Pakistan feeling like, oh my gosh, we are alone. We are alone. Yeah, we are alone. We are alone, so we need to rebel. Let's just rebel. Let's look for our own independence. Let's push through. And the more they push through, the more they rebel, the more they're becoming stubborn, is the further they're becoming isolated as a country, right? So I do see some misguided criticism coming, or maybe what they do attracts a lot of criticism, all right, whereby now other countries around them, they see them as the outsider, the country that's just like isolated or that's doing its own thing. But I do see them feeling like they are a victim, like feeling like why us, feeling like they're a victim. But at the same time, their actions, they get them to be exploited, they get them to be to just do self-harm, like self-sabotage. That's what I see here. And whereby also they could be literally just seen as people who don't know which way to go or what to do, who are just angry for nothing, so they could be seen like that. I do see again, some sort of lessons that will be learned by both countries around this time. I do see emotional emotional heaviness from this, right? So when we talk about countries, when we talk about emotional heaviness, it could be obviously the people around the country, the citizens of the countries, right? So that's the normal way when we're looking at countries, right? So I do see that. And I think around this time in August, things could simmer down, whereby now, Pakistan is really like feeling isolated, like a victim. And India, I do see India also losing some sort of power, but not voluntarily. It would be because of these upper traditional power people, like power networks or other government bodies, foreign government, controllers, right? And then, whereby India feels like, okay, we don't have a choice but to, kind of like find a solution that will work for everybody, for, our own projects, our own kids, our own things, our lives and health and provisions, basically. So I do see that. I think I have discussed a few of the things that I wanted to talk about. And regarding these countries, right, it is so unfortunate that such things happen, because then a lot of people get affected, right? But now, just quickly looking at going back to the synastry again, right? I do see that basically in the beginning, these two countries, they were like brother and sister, right? Whereby each country dependent on the other country for something. Both of them were gaining something from the other, right? So this is evident in their synastry. And of course, with time, we do hope that things will be sorted out. And as I see around August, things would be simmering down, right? But I am not looking beyond September, as I said, August, September. I'm not looking beyond this. And maybe if things are still going on, then in October we could do another recap to see what predictions have come true and how things would be going forward. And of course, we're going to do other synastry analysis between different countries, because then we get to get a break from our celebrities, and now we just look at countries, which is like more nicer version, because it's not nice to look at your idols and the people that you like and you see these unfortunate things. But when it's countries, it's not so personal, because it's a country Yes, there will be people involved, but it's not personalized. But I'll talk to you soon. For now, let me say bientôt and ciao ciao.